We are now 176 days away from the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker by director J.J. Abrams, which we are now at a point in which we are under 6 months away from its release that will end the Skywalker saga. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So what's really great about Episode 9 is that we do know that this movie is really going to deliver when it comes to Jedi, Sith, and even Force lore that's going to be used as a way in order to benefit many of the characters like Rey, Luke, Kylo, you name it. And I think the fact that George Lucas is attached to all of this and how he was the one to implement a lot of those aspects of the Star Wars franchise into Episode 9 is another reason to be excited about this. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, a description of both Luke Skywalker and Rey sitting in front of each other within the Prime Jedi Temple, where Luke is giving Rey a lesson about the Jedi, the light, and the dark side, as well as the Force. It's described that eventually Rey asks a question about the beyond and exactly how dangerous of a place it really is. It's said that Luke reveals some years after there was peace in the galaxy, he began to feel a dark presence connecting with him, and that presence was indeed Supreme Leader Snoke. It's said that while Luke was connected with Snoke, Snoke had offered Luke to search for the origins of both the light and the dark side in the beyond and to find its location. Though Luke explains it was tempting for him, he refused, and that this is where the differences between Snoke and Luke started. Additionally, Luke reveals that Snoke was born from the beyond and was trying to find his way back there to benefit from its power, since it's a place that also holds the power to eternal life. Lastly, it's said that Luke also reveals to Rey that though Snoke was always connected to the beyond, regardless of that, it was still difficult to find its location. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, we do know that there will be an element of Snoke's backstory that will be explored in Episode 9, as well as the origins of the First Order. But what I find even all the more interesting is what Luke Skywalker's Force Ghost is revealing to Rey while they are actually starting to talk about Jedi, Sith, and Force lore within the Prime Jedi Temple itself. So, the Beyond is a very mysterious part of Episode 9. It's something that we have never seen before in the Star Wars canon material, visually speaking. And the Beyond, I believe, really is going to be something that's going to really impress a lot of fans, because we do know that the Beyond is also connected to Supreme Leader Snoke, and now even Darth Sidious/Emperor Palpatine. So I think that by far the biggest reveal from Luke to Rey about Snoke, this big secret, is that Snoke was born through the Beyond. He was actually born from the Beyond itself, which, by the way, is said to be a place that does not have midichlorians, but different microorganisms, and that's exactly why Snoke is very powerful. So let's go over another piece that also really seems to dive deep into the backstory of Luke and Snoke, is that at one point in time, both Luke and Snoke had mentally connected, and this was only hinted at in The Last Jedi novelization. But for Episode 9, when Luke's Force Ghost is explaining this to Rey, this is where it gets very intriguing, is that Luke explains that Snoke had offered Luke to search for the origins of the truth of the light and the dark side over in the beyond, and to find its location. Though Luke said it was tempting, he refused, and that's exactly where their separation began. That's exactly where, I guess you could say, their differences started. And that's a very interesting backstory, because at first, Snoke was not an enemy. Snoke was actually trying to become an ally with Luke Skywalker. He was trying to form an alliance in order to discover truths about the Force, the dark, and the light itself. After all, Snoke really is a individual who favors both the light and the dark mixed in a perfect balance. In case you guys have not read The Force Awakens novelization, in that novel, we do in fact learn that Snoke favors Kylo Ren because of his balance between the light and the dark, the perfect statue basically, the perfect sculpture if you will. That's exactly how Snoke viewed Kylo Ren. So, looking at everything here that's being told through Episode 9 and what J.J. Abrams plans to do with Snoke and Luke Skywalker, this really does set up the potential of a great book and or novel or even comic book at that could really release sometime in 2020 or 2021, well after the release of Episode 9. And that, I think, is really the future of Luke Skywalker, since this is going to be the last film featuring the older version of Luke by Mark Hamill. You know, there's still the opportunity to explore stories in between the originals and the sequels in the forms of books, novels, and comics. Of course, we would rather see this in, an expanded form in the form of a live-action movie and/or series. But I digress. I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments between both Snoke and Luke, and what Luke revealed to Rey. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to